Hi and welcome to the first episode of Gong Fu talking about origins. My name is Urs Krebs from Crying in the Tiger's Shadow. I recently had an internet discussion about Lao Jia and Xin Jia and which version is older. I take this discussion as an opportunity to share my point of view. Unfortunately, we don't have footage about Chen-style Tai Chi Chuan has looked like between the 1920s and 1930s, when Da Jia in fact was divided in Lao Jia and Xin Jia, although the names were not used before the 1970s. First, let's analyze what we know as a baseline. In the 19th century, Chen-style Tai Chi Chuan was divided in Da Jia and Xiao Jia. We are not going to analyze which one is older. That's maybe an idea for another episode. Da Jia was taught to young style creator Yang Luchan by Chen Chengxin. Within the Chen family, Chen Chengxin taught Chen Gengyun, and Chen Gengyun handed down the family style to his children, Chen Yanxi and Chen Yanyan. Chen Yanxi was not only Chen Fake's father, but also private teacher for the children of China's second president and later self-declared emperor Yuan Shikai. Chen Fake was taught by his father Chen Yanxi. Chen Shaopi was taught by his father Chen Dengke, who was the son of Chen Yanyan, and his uncle Chen Yanxi and Chen Fake. Chen Fake and Chen Shaopi are the protagonists of what led into the situation that Da Jia was divided into Lao Jia and Xin Jia from the village's point of view. After we defined the baseline, we can now dig deeper into the matter. We know that Chen Xiaopi was invited to Beijing in 1928 to teach Tai Chi Chuan in the former capital. He started to teach students there, but before they finished the first routine, he got an invitation to teach in the capital Nanjing. As his students didn't even finish the first routine, he didn't want them to leave alone without giving them the opportunity to continue their studies. So he proposed his uncle Chen Fa-ke to follow him as teacher, from which he said that his skills are much higher level than his own. That's why Chen Fa-ke left Zhenjiagou in 1928 and lived in Beijing until he passed away in 1957. So we know that the two most influential Chen-style Tai Chi Chuan masters of the 20th century left Zhenjiagou around the same time, and one of them never returned back home to teach Tai Chi Chuan in Zhenjiagou. The theory that was discussed is that in fact not Chen Xiaopi's Lao Jia is the older Tai Chi Chuan, but Chen Fa-ke's version that is called Xin Jia in Zhenjiagou, although not in Beijing and other places. I'm now trying to elaborate some fundamentals with logic to point out why Chen Xiaopi's version is the older one and why Chen Fa-ke's Xin Jia is an advancement to what we know today as Lao Jia. Chen Xiaopi returned back to Zhenjiagou in 1958 to teach there Tai Chi Chuan after many villagers left Zhenjiagou during the Sino-Japanese and the following civil war. So with the logic of the village people, this was the older Tai Chi Chuan as they learned long before Chen Xiaokui came back home to teach in the village. But, of course, it's not that simple. There were other Lao Jia lineages too, like the one from Chen Yanxi to Wang Yan and Zhu Laohu that still existed in the village when Chen Xiaopi was returning back home in 1958. So, let's go back to Beijing around 1930, when Chen Fa-ke already was teaching Tai Chi Chuan there. We only can guess that he was teaching back then already Lao Jia. I'm assuming that it was in Beijing, when he had exchange with other martial arts, that he began to modify Chen-style Tai Chi Chuan to improve his skills. By improving, he also extended the existing routines to 83 postures, Ilu, and 71 postures, Arlu. This kind of developing is from my own experience a natural process. From my own teacher, whom I follow for more than 30 years, I have witnessed a similar way of development, and that it is visible, as footage from now and then exists. From Chen Fa-ke and Chen Xiaopi we unfortunately don't have some footage, but we can consult some books from that time and we have some footage of disciples and other exponents for an analysis. For the analysis we are always using the positure Lan Jiayi, Liu Fengxibi and Dan Bian. Let's start with Du Yuzi, who wasn't a student of Chen Fa-ke, but of his father Chen Yanxi. He later learned Lao Jia from Chen Mingbiao too. From my personal opinion, his Lao Jia is influenced by Lao Jia, but what is more important on his video about Lao Jia is nothing of external spirals or additional positures can be seen here. From Chen Xiaopi and Chen Ziming are existing books from 1930. Chen Xiaopi about Lao Jia and 1932 Chen Ziming about Xiao Jia. In the pictures in the books is nothing to see, and in the descriptions of the books is nothing to read about additional external spirals. Chen Xiaopi's pictures also show a right close interpretation to what his successors Wang Xian and Zhu Tianzai are practicing nowadays. One of Chen Fa-ke's students was Pan Yongzhou, who first studied Yang style and Wu style Tai Chi Chuan before he met Chen Fa-ke. I don't know how long Pan Yongzhou actually studied with Chen Fa-ke, but it is also a fact that he, like many others, fled to Taiwan and lived there as one of the important sources for Chen style Tai Chi Chuan afterwards. But there's a video of him that is showing him practicing Lao Jia Yilu, the routine with 75 positures. If we still follow my argumentation, then this was the version that Chen Fa-ke was teaching shortly after he started to teach in Beijing. From my point of view, it also wouldn't have made sense to show a different routine to Pan Yongzhou than to any other student if Chen Fa-ke would have made already differences between a Da Jia and a Gong Fu Jia, as some people explain the difference. But Gong Fu Jia is not Xin Jia, it's something different. In the following years, Chen Fa-ke developed his skills. He added external spirals to some positures and even extended the routine with additional positures. This is the reason why later students like Tian Xiuchen and Feng Zhijiang have these external spirals. I also do believe that also Chen Fake's son, Chen Chaokui, made further development. So, let's do a little recapitulation. Du Yuzi, who was Chen Yanxi's student, has no external spirals or additional positures in his routine. Chen Xiaopi's and Chen Weiming's books are showing no external spirals and additional positures. I also do believe that Da Jia and Xiao Jia were much closer than nowadays. Pan Zhongyou, an early student of Chen Fake, has no external spirals or additional positures in his routine. Later students or students who learned from him until the end have external spirals and additional positures. These visible facts let me come to the conclusion that what we see in the village today is known as Lao Jia. Is really older than what we know today as Xin Jia. From my point of view, it also legitimates the separation of Da Jia into Lao Jia and Xin Jia, as the extended routines are unique and clearly differ to Lao Jia and Xiao Jia, especially when it comes to the second routine, Erlu or Paozhui. It is also understandable that in Beijing, where only Chen Fake students spreaded the art in the city, there's no Lao Jia and Xin Jia but only Yilu and Erlu, as they didn't know about the other versions before. At the end, it is not really important which one is older, but it sheds some light on how the style developed. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next episode again.